Let me ask you a question. How many times today have you typed cd into your terminal? You probably type cd/documents and then hit tab, hoping to find that one folder you were just in a few minutes ago. We all do it, but what if I told you that's the slow way? What if you could jump to any folder you use often by just typing one single word? This idea completely changed my workflow 7 years ago. I was working on a bug, sharing my screen with my mentor, and I was just about to type out a long path to find my key file. He stopped me right there and then. Whoa, he said. What did you just do? I was confused. What? I need to change the directory. He went, okay, stop what you're doing, go to GitHub and search Z. And there it was, a script that would fundamentally change how I move around in the terminal. But this script, as you might guess, had its issues. It wasn't properly maintained and it felt old. With modern tools like FZF and lightweight local databases, you just knew it could be more. And eventually, someone picked up that glove and decided to build that more project. Now, I use a lot of terminal tools, and I mean a lot. Over the years, I've probably switched over 100 of them. I love to tweak my setup and show off the freaky stuff, but if we're honest, in any area of life, it's the essentials that truly matter. Some tools are just not a nice to have, they're the solid core of my workflow. Remember that old Z script and the idea that it could be better? Well, meet Zoxide. It's the more than capable successor, doing the same job, but way better. It's quick, it's persistent, and it comes with fuzzy searching and a bunch of integrations. But beyond all the bells and whistles, it's a solid tool that saves you seconds, but hundreds of times a day. And if you're not already using it, you're going to be blown away. So this is the spiritual father Z, 16K stars, and it's been on my machine since I can remember. But as mentioned, it's not maintained and has been recently dethroned. At the end of the day, it's a simple shell script, not a very long one too. Something Gemini describes as a system designed to navigate quickly by keeping track of frequently visited directories and allowing you to jump there quickly. Fairly simple. Its successor, and our main star today, is almost at 30,000 stars. And here's another one to get it closer. Written in Rust, sponsored and backed by the community, and notably inspired by Z. To get started, you install first. Surely you did not know that? I'm going with Homebrew, but Zoxide comes in Nix and Linux flavors, and a Rust crate if you're a Krabs fan. There's a small setup once you have the binary available. ZSH folks have the eval with the init command, but since we established my freaky shell tooling, I'm on new shell and I need to run the init command as part of my new.env. To find my new shell config, I'm going to use Zoxide. But I'm kinda cheating and getting ahead of myself since I had Zoxide for quite a while. Here's my source zoxide.new and then Zoxide init command, which we'll get to very soon to see how the config can be tweaked to your liking. Now, since I am getting asked quite a lot, all of these are on my .files repo on GitHub. Feel free to review, open issues, not that I seem to ever get to them, but it's all there. Okay, showtime. Z works like your normal CD. On your first run, there's nothing else really to do until it records some of your paths you visit. You don't have to use it, you can just CD your way through paths if that's your preference or just muscle memory. There I am on my documents directory and there are my docs. Now, let's make sense of how it prioritizes paths to travel to. This is more complicated than any of us actually cares about, since we want what we want and it should magically find it. But while we're at it, to simplify the system, the default algorithm used is aging, where Zoxide tracks visited paths. If a new path is seen, it's given the score 1. The next time you visit the same path, the number is incremented. When Zoxide sees a query to a path, it has a few results. It'll take the number of the visitations and multiply that by an index of how recently it was visited. Last hour times 4, last day times 2, last week divide by 2. This is a bit of a head scratcher, but I can tell you it works almost flawlessly, often leaving you in awe of how this magic is even done. I'm taking a quick break for a word from today's sponsor. Tired of hitting walls with your hosting platform, artificial limits, surprise bills, and juggling 5 different services just to deploy your app? It's time to break free. Meet Sevalla, the all-in-one trickery-free platform as a service from the infrastructure experts at Kinsta. They combine the best features of modern platforms into one seamless experience. With Sevalla, you get unlimited collaborators and unlimited parallel builds. Deploy your apps, databases, and static sites on a global network powered by Google Kubernetes Engine and Cloudflare. There are no fixed plans, just transparent, usage-based pricing. You only pay for what what you use. It's the developer experience you love with the enterprise-grade security and performance you need. Stop compromising and start building. Experience the Heroku successor that's built for today's development teams. Visit Sevalla.com to deploy your first application for free. That's SVALLA.com. You also get $50 worth of credit to start and test the platform, so make sure you don't miss that. And now back to the video. So let's watch it in action. If I try to find documents, Zoxide knows where to go. If I send a partial string like doc, it'll still find it. But what if I create another new directory named doc in my home dir? Now zdoc takes me to the newly created path, just since it was more recently visited. Mind you, these change every second. If you know you have more than one optional result, hit ZI. It'll take the results to FZF with the score. My documents path and doc have the same score at the moment. You will note, however, that the documents path with the actual name starting with a capital D was recorded many more times and is given a higher score. If I'd search for that or simply provide a couple more characters, I'd hit my documents folder for sure. If you want a path removed from Zoxide, not that I find myself doing that all that often, Zoxide remove will delete it from the database altogether so that the next query doesn't see it at all. But the second you visit it again, it's back on the track list. Now, allow me to demonstrate something pretty cool Zoxide can do, although I can't say I use that often either. I'll jump over to one of my projects. But instead of providing one argument, I'm going to use two, which Zoxide uses first as a search target and the second as a following subfolder inside the target. In this instance, Fatbot project with the scripts folder specifically. If I just hit scripts, the result would be quite different. Just to remind you, Zoxide functions as CD, no attributes like CD with no attributes defaulting to the home directory, and dash as with CD will go back to the last visited path. In a way, this gives you the feeling of a drop-in alternative where some would consider mapping CD to Zoxide. Not sure I'm there yet. All this is standard behavior, but what if you'd like to tweak things up a little? Well, the environment variable ZOEcho, note the underscores, can be set to 1, which will make Zoxide echo the path to the terminal with every switch. Apologies for the new shell syntax. I have 2 videos covering new shell and why I use it, and you'll find them up here or here. For your local POSIX compatible shell, just use the standard export command. They show up in the docs. Now, every Zoxide search prints the result just before switching to the target path. This becomes especially handy in scripts wrapping around Zoxide. I'll show you one open source Tmux plugin I built around it in just a bit. Now, what if you don't like the Z as a command for whatever reason? Well, when running Zoxide init, --cmd and a key of choice would remap it the next time you create a shell. I've set it to X here, just as an example. I actually do use Z, but there it is unmapped while X answers to Zoxide. Configurations aside, let's talk about the Zoxide CLI, the tool itself that will be actually used when building around Zoxide or when changing settings and making other data-related changes. We've already covered Zoxide remove previously for deleting a path, but you can also manually add, edit entries, import data from places like the old Z script, but also run query, which is essentially the default behavior of Zoxide. Sometimes the results won't make a lot of sense. Don't ask me why Zoxide query --all actually returns the unavailable directories, but regardless, it comes with a man page if you go to man Zoxide-query. For example, to resemble what we've seen so far in FZF when running ZI path, you can achieve with Zoxide query --list --score and a query string. Zoxide returns the score and the path's result that we can then pipe to FZF or use in another context. Why would you use this in a standard workflow? Well, you won't, but Zoxide was built with extensions in mind, not only as a user-facing utility. For example, this is my Tmux SessionX, my pride and joy, a Tmux plugin managing Tmux sessions that uses Zoxide to assume local paths when creating a new Tmux session. Imagine creating a session named .files, and not only is being created with a name, but the shell path is already set to my home dir /.files that Zoxide already knows. And while my plugin isn't maintained all that much, and I'm sorry for that, check out Sesh, Josh's far more robust session manager using Zoxide as well for similar purposes. Playing around with the query features helps us a lot by understanding the scoring algorithm or why, as a result, return the way it did. For those who are like me and care deeply about what's under the hood, well, Zoxide maintains its own local database with path strength and timestamps. But I'm assuming you already guessed that. On Macs, you're going to find it under Library Application Support and Zoxide. This path is also configurable using ZO-data-dir, but the database itself, as you'll quickly notice, is a .zo file, not an SQLite or something similar. I'm not actually sure why that is, but still, I was curious, and while my paths are definitely hiding in the mess, it's not very human readable. The entire set of configurable variables, as well as a bunch of integrations and projects working with Zoxide, you can find on the project's README, and yes, amongst of which you'll find both Tmux Session X as well as Sesh. Zoxide makes you fast, and you've probably seen how it makes use of FZF. We touched FZF super briefly, but this is one of those solid core utilities like Zoxide. Check out its origins, how to properly configure, use, and integrate to tools you use or even build. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.